Hi there, my name is Danielle Whaley, and today I'm going to be talking to you guys about the study of human sexuality, also known as sexology. So let's get started. So, what is sexology? Basically, sexology is the scientific study of human sexuality. So, it doesn't focus only on the physical parts of sex, but it includes all sexual interests, the functions, and behaviors that people experience. Sexologists are people who study sexology, so they specialize in human sexuality and they study people's behaviors and feelings and the interactions that they have in order to help them better understand their sexual experiences and make them more enjoyable. Two very famous sexologists are Havelock Ellis and Alfred Kinsey. Havelock Ellis was a British physician, psychologist, and a social reformer. He worked to make discussing sexual behavior a non taboo topic. So, back in his time, discussing sexual relations was strictly not a conversation that anyone had, and he worked to try and make it a conversation that people were comfortable with having. So in that time frame, sexual relations for women were strictly only for procreation. So if you were a woman and you were having sexual relations, it better have only been to create a baby. And so he challenged that idea by saying that sexual relations should be enjoyable for both men and women alike, and he wanted to bring equality into all sexual encounters. Alfred Kinsey was a very well-known sexologist and a biologist. He founded the Institute for Sex Research in 1947, and he developed the Kinsey scale, which was a rating scale for homosexuality and heterosexuality. He claimed that hetero and homosexuality was a fluid thing and that it changed over time and no one was the same. All results produced by the ISR were made into two different books, the first one being Sexual Behavior in the Human Male, which was produced in 1948, and then Sexual Behavior in the Human Female, which was produced in 1953. These wonderful people right over here are Masters and Johnson. This is a very good picture of them, by the way. So William Masters was a sexologist. Virginia E. Johnson, however, was not. She was simply hired as his assistant. She never completed a bachelor's degree. She was not a sexologist. She simply was helping him with his research. They researched the human sexual response, sexual dysfunction, and sexual disorders. They looked at the anatomy of both male and females as well as the physiological responses that humans encounter in order to collect their data for their book, which was titled Human Sexual Response. So, what they did is they had a laboratory setting where they conducted many observations of different sexual encounters in order to gain research to better understand human sexuality as a whole, not only the physical aspect of it, but the emotional aspect as well. So now we're going to get into sexual anatomy of both males and females. So I have a couple of diagrams to show you guys. So first, we're going to do the male sexual anatomy. So this is like an interior view, and then we also have an exterior view of the male sexual anatomy. So right over here, this is the bladder up here. It houses urine, and connected to the bladder is the urethra. Basically, the urethra carries urine out of the body. Um, this whole thing right here, that is the penis. And then at the very top of the penis is the glans. Basically, what the glans does is it protects the head of the penis. The frenulum is connected, well, it's right in between the penis and the glans. It actually connects the glans to the rest of the penis. We also have a side view of the testes right over here, and then we also have like a front view of them on the other side as well. The purpose of the testes is to produce the sperm, which is used for sexual reproduction. All right. And the next one, this is a more detailed diagram of the male sexual anatomy. It's more of an inside view as well. So once again, we see the urinary bladder, we see the urethra, we see the penis, the glands. We also have what we call the corpora cavernosa, which is just a very strong muscle. When the penis is erect, that would mean that this muscle is contracting and tensing up, and that is what causes the penis to be erect. We also have the corpora spongiosum. Basically, what that does is make sure that the urethra doesn't get compressed when the penis is erect. All All right, and right over here we have the vas deferens, right up here. Basically, what they do is they transport mature sperm to the urethra to get ready for ejaculation. And then right over here we have the bulbourethral gland, which is also known as the Cowper's gland. It just creates a lubricating fluid to go through the urethra to create a safe travel space for semen. Right up here is the prostate gland. That just creates prostate fluid, which is another component of semen. Once again, you can see the testes, the penis itself, the shaft of the penis, the urinary bladder, the urethra that goes throughout. All right, and now we're moving on to the female sexual anatomy. So once again, we have like an inside view and then an exterior view. So right over here, we have the ovaries. The ovaries produce the eggs. Once the eggs are mature, they go down the fallopian tubes and into the uterus. Once they're in the uterus, they stick to the walls of the uterus, which is also known as the endometrium. This whole inside right here is the uterus. And the endometrium is just a muscle that's on the inside of there. If the egg that is in there is not fertilized, then it will be expelled with the endometrium because the endometrium will shed and it will be expelled throughout the vagina outside. This is the cervix. This is just the opening between the vagina and the uterus. This whole opening right here is the vagina, and then that is the exterior, so right over here. Right at the top is the clitoris. Then this is the urethral opening, so this is where your urinate. This is where you're going to urinate from, and then this is the vaginal opening. So this opening right here is right over here. This is the labia majora and the labia minora. So basically what they do is they just protect both the vaginal and urethral openings. Right down here is the anus, and then this space in between the anus and the rest of the vagina is called the perineum. So now we're going to talk about the sexual response cycle. So there are 4 parts of this cycle: excitement, plateau, orgasm, and resolution. Excitement, muscles tense, your heart rate and breathing quickens, blood flow to your genitals increase, and liquid lubrication begins from both the male and the female. For plateau, the changes from the last step just intensify. Blood flow to the genitals increases even more. Muscle spasms may begin to happen. For orgasm, it is the shortest part of the sexual response cycle. It only lasts a few seconds for the most part. Involuntary muscle contractions happen. Muscles inside the vagina begin to contract all by themselves, and muscles at the base of the penis contract all by themselves. Resolution is when the body slowly returns back to its normal level of functioning. Women can begin the sexual response cycle again almost immediately, while men need a recovery time. This is also known as a refractory period. They have to wait a little bit before they can redo the sexual response cycle. Here are my sources for all the information that I provided today, as well as all the diagrams I showed. Thank you guys. I hope you enjoyed this presentation, and if you have any questions, do not hesitate to ask.